This is not an accident. I'm pointing you up on purpose now that we're live because I want to do a little jiggering here and show you the stack. So the table is at lap height, and this comes up to here. And I have a second one over here. So we're going to have fun diving in today. This is sort of an off topic. It's not a wrap up. It's not a review. It's not a tag. It's not a readathon. But one thing I noticed, and then I thought I'd talk about it, is this weird compulsion I have for certain authors. I hear that they're good, and I get a book, and I don't read it, and then I see another book, and I have to get that one. But I don't know if I like them yet. So let me know if you've done that before and if I'm not alone. Today we're going to talk about authors unread on my shelves that I have more than one book for. So there's 13 of them, and I'm going to describe the books that I have, the authors themselves, and get your opinions of them, and the reason that I picked them up, like where I heard about them or where I heard about the book itself or the recommendation. I thought that'd be interesting because it deals with like how we get information, how we process that information, how we prioritize that information. And then just like with the kitchen, sometimes I have things that I saved a little bit at the end because I don't want to finish it. And sometimes I have half a bottle of something and I think, oh, I've got to finish this. I got to get the bottle out of the cabinet. So it's like these weird like ticks that we have. And so I just wanted to talk about a book tick. It's not a tag. It's not anything as a category. It's just this funny thing that happened. So I'm going to call this an update from the shelves. And then I also have the unboxing of 2 books that were my pre-order picks. So hopefully this will be a fun little romp. By the way, if you're new here, which not many people are, my name is Margaret Pennard. I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author, and you're on Booktube. So welcome to the channel. One of the reasons I'm doing this now, and I'm going to frame it this way. I had this idea maybe a month ago, but yesterday or the day before is when I saw Greg's video and then Alan's video about read what you own. So this is not necessarily a readathon, it's a challenge, and it's like wide ranging. There's no time limit on it except what you set yourself. It's just the read what you own challenge. So I'm going to drop Greg's video in there because he's one of the co-hosts, and he's the first one I saw that got me thinking about this. But then that video intersected with my idea about authors unread on my bookshelf. And I thought, well, what if I did read what you own that I hadn't read yet, that I hadn't tried out the author for? So I'm thinking of making this like a special challenge. So hence the question of the day, which you will find in the chat, which is the 2 pieces of read what you own. The way they're getting themselves motivated to read books off the shelf instead of being distracted by shiny new ideas is saying you can't buy any new books until you read however many books you set yourself as a challenge, right? So I'm asking as a question of the day today, do you find yourself denying yourself new books so that you read what you have, so that you don't waste space in this case? And do you need to read what you own because it's getting out of hand in any context, space or money or what have you? So this is my interesting little sociological survey today. And I will say hello to the chat right after I remind everyone that next Monday, speaking of sociology, I will be inviting my friend Devin, she's an indie author here on YouTube, Devin Gambrell Clark, over to the channel to talk about The Revolt of the Elites, which is a sociology book by Christopher Lasch from 1994. So we're going to some classic historical commentary and seeing how it holds up. Devin read this for her degree in university, and I just came across it as like fodder for historical musings today. So we buddy read it, and we'll be discussing that on Monday if you are curious. So Let's see. I'll say hello to the chat. Eva is here. Eva's answer, I like to buy more books. So that's a no for the first part and just read vicariously through you. Well, I am honored. And hey, hello. Welcome. Alan's answer is welcome to my future world between November and March. And yes, Alan had a very tidily explained challenge he had set himself. And of course, both Greg and Alan have plenty of exceptions, and you're allowed to do that. So I thought they're trying to play fair, which is admirable. And March, I found out, is Alan's birthday. So good to know, and just tuck that away. Hello, Anita at AF Stewart. Hello, Catpaw. Welcome. Anita answers it with, I have so many unread books. I try not to think about it anymore. So I used to ask people this question, what do you think is the ratio of read to unread in your book collection? Because I found that it was a very different answer for my sister and myself. She had like 90% read, 10% unread. And I had like 70% unread, 30% read. Oh my gosh. Or maybe it was 60-40, but now I think it's definitely more like 75. It's tilting. So that's part of my motivation for getting it back down to reasonable unread levels. But trying not to think about it anymore might prove hard. Thank you. Let's see. I might star that for later in case I need to pop it up. Eva says, even the books I have read that I own, I barely remember if I remember at all. Well, there's another vote for not thinking about it. Yeah, some people dust their book collections and revisit things that way, and I never do that. So that is just not my style. Hi, Greg from Ghost Readers in the Sky. Hello, fellow readers. Catpa says, you are not alone. I've bought books because they were on special offer, sounded good, and the first one was good, but the next felt like a copy, just the names had changed. Oh no. Is this by the same author, you mean, or just that you bought them together? Special offer sounded good. You mean you found a new author and they have a tried and true formula, and the first time is good, but the second time there's no surprise. I think that's what you mean. Yeah, this is 13 authors that I bought once because of reasons, and then before reading the book to see if I liked their work, bought another one because opportunity. Hi, Jim. Thank you for booping the like button. Hi, Ven. Wave. Starring that in case I have to find it later. Anita says, also, I have unread books where I don't remember why I bought them. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I've whittled down most of those at this point because of all the shelves and renovations. So if I couldn't remember why I bought it or didn't feel like it was a 6 or above on the want to read scale, I was like, I gotta let it go. So Eva says, I thrift books all the time and get them because books. Yeah, because reasons. Exactly. Catpaw says, I have those too. I found them when I downloaded all my Kindle books when that changed. Unread books where you don't remember why you bought them. Because I buy so few Kindle books, I do remember when and why I've bought them all. Mainly because the books are only available on Kindle, or a long time ago, I had a whole cache that were on sale because it was like international translation book sale, some event they had, and I got like 6 translated books, and I've used those for readathons over the years, but they're not very well known. Hey, JD. Nice to see you, my friend. Yay. JD's got a very cool Substack newsletter, y'all, and it is a delight. I had a friend talk about unsubscribing, and I've been on an unsubscribe tear for the last week or so, but the jewels come in and I cannot unsubscribe. They're too good. Okay, so we're estimating the percentages, and Eva says, I'd say I've read 6%. That is a high unread to read percentage. Yeah, interesting. JD says, I think I'm about 60 to 70% read. That's where I am, I think. Probably way more. But also want to gift books I won't reread. Yeah, whittling it down. That's what I'm calling that. For the record, I am not Greg. I am Greg. I don't understand that. I would understand if it was Craig, because I know there's a difference between Craig in American and Craig in Scots, but I'm not sure about this. So let me know what I'm missing. I think maybe 60-40 red. So yeah, about the same as mine. Dust? What is this witchcraft you speak of? I don't know. Living, sloughing off skin cells, and having a cat. It's just gonna happen. Yes, same author. Disappointing. Boo. Anita says, I keep telling myself to read the books I own, then buy more books. All my author friends need to stop publishing so I can catch up on my TBR. Well, I am happy to oblige, Anita. I have not published anything since last November. So yeah. Eva says, makes note to see how many books I have read and how many I own. It's quite a project. So actually determining the percentage is a little much to ask, but just sort of estimating is all I was wondering. Yeah. I'm probably 2/3 red, so 66% red. Okay, so you're closer to my sister's percentage. You seem to do a lot of rereading and know your catalog very well, is my impression. So yeah, that makes sense. Ellen says, I'd say 80-20 unread read. Ebooks and the opposite. Oh, okay. So more unread ebooks. Okay. Because stuff your Kindle is a thing, and the opposite for physical books. Oh, interesting. And Alan was pointing to the 3 stacks on top of the file cabinet as the goal of finding homes for those. And I totally understand, like the overflow is what you want to get clear of. It's a constant battle around here of like clear surfaces, space to sit down, space to work on, mental space. So yeah, I get that. Yay! Thanks so much for the Substack shout out, of course. Ben says, I dread my percentage at the start of the year. I was about 60% read, but now, yeah, since you're buying those books like it's going out of style, that may have changed a bit. JD says, my percentage might not be as bad. We'll see when I get books out of storage. Oh, the reckoning. The reckoning. Eva says, but it can be content to make a spreadsheet and know for sure. That's true. That would be work that I would not want to do. You could not pay me unless you paid me a lot to do. Not sure if that motivates me or not, but we'll see. Yeah. Maybe. We shall not mention ebooks. Yeah. Hoping I'm not only 6%. 6%. Was that unread or read? Let me go back now. Whose guess was that? Eva's read. Okay. Sorry, I like flinging all these numbers about. 6% read. Oh, we have Julie in the house. Hello. I tend to purge read books unless there's a high probability I will reread them. I really can't give a percentage. Yeah, that's the same for me. I do not often reread. This is a fact you will probably learn from being around me on this channel. I get like maybe 2 a year rereads, but if I feel like I might want to because it was that good, then I will keep it. Same. I think that's a good policy. A time where I don't count ebooks. Gotcha. JD says, I have an old iPad I use as a Kindle, and I'm deleting books once I read and review. Interesting. I have an old iPad that I use as an e-reader, mister, and I'm deleting books once I read and review. Oh, I don't delete them. I guess I'll just wait for them to delete them from my cache. Oh, because I was talking about the other Greg's video. Sorry. Yeah, the Greg that's not here, another bibliophile reads, is the one who's co-hosting another a Read What You Own challenge. Sorry. Yes. Gotcha. Thank you. Unread. Okay. Got it. Only children's picture books? Yes. Okay, good. So caught up. We know what we're doing today. Shall we start with the unboxing? Because I've been waiting so patiently for 2 weeks to take these out. So if you don't know, I started a series called Pre-Order Picks in order to help authors and bookstores, because when you pre-order, you tell the author and the publisher and the printer how many copies they will likely need, and it just gives them like a little peace of mind and planning ability. So I just figured I'd do this for 2 books a month, and it's sort of like I get the books. This is for October, but I did the poll in September so that I could pre-order them, So we're doing sort of like I don't know what you would call that. Leapfrogging. That's what the word I used. I couldn't think of before. So yeah. And I'm choosing a different indie bookstore each time. So this time it is the Last Bookshop in LA, and they have a very slick bookshop affiliate website. Yay! Okay. So for the season, this is one of the ones I got, The Hearth Witch's Guide to Magic and Murder by Kiri Callahan. That looks really fun. I see a donut and I see a skull. I'm intrigued. Of course, I saw the cover before, but now it's like in person. I love it. Let's see. A Rise in London Supernatural Crime. So yeah, supernatural, witchy, murder. What's not to love? So that's my first October pre-order from the Last Bookshop. Now, I haven't been to LA in a long time, and I haven't been to the Last Bookshop, but if Leslie comes by, and she may be able to comment on that. She's my LA correspondent in the field. They seem pretty cool. They're pretty new, and they've gotten lots of publicity. So they may not have been the best choice to like need support, but you know what? I also have to look at bookstores that have the books on pre-order that I'm putting in the polls, and not all of them do. So it's been kind of a learning curve to figure out how to get recommendations for books that are not yet published and find a bookstore that will allow me to pre-order them. Yay! So the rules are just that it's a paperback because I can't afford hardcovers. And I try to get to, I think for November, there will only be one. But yes, this is the other one, The Keeper of Magical Things by Julie Leong. And this is the second in the universe. I don't think it's a sequel. I haven't read the first one. First one is The Teller of Small Fortunes. It was on my wish list, but I didn't get it yet. And this one looked even more up my alley, so I'm very excited for this. It's another supernatural, let's see. Mage in training discovers friendship in the unlikeliest of places, and a delightfully charming novel. So yeah, cozy fantasy. Anita will know what that cover signifies because look at it's so pretty. It's like trying to be a sunset in a cup. I don't know. I just really loved it. So I'm very excited. And now I can recycle the packaging. So I supported authors by pre-ordering, supported bookstores by pre-ordering, and that just makes my little heart happy. So that was the unboxing portion. And now we can get to the update from the shelves. So let me take this down. All right, so Read What You Own, 13 authors. I had a outline for this. Yeah, okay, so those two things are goals for me. I do like to try not to buy every new book that attracts my eyes, right? Evidence of just now to the contrary. So I do try to be thrifty. There's a saying from the Great Depression that says, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. If you've heard that phrase, raise your hand. For example, I do a lot of thrift shopping now. I love on all my old clothes, even when they get moth holes. This sweater is a lovely memory sweater. So I wear it when I'm like especially wanting to feel homey and cozy, because even though it's sort of like stretched out of proportion, I got this in Ireland in 1996 and it makes me feel happy. So, that's a motto that I like to live by. And yeah, under consumption core is the name of the game these days. So even though that is one of my mottos, I do find I get ahead of myself with the unread books. So the Read What You Own challenge might be a good thing for me, and these 13 authors might be a way to narrow it down, because otherwise, like, there's way too many books to figure out. Let's see. Okay, I did that. And now we can go into the authors. I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget. I did my little announcement for next Monday. And now we're going to dive into the authors. So, first of all, and again, let me know if you've heard of these authors. This is why I'm asking this question here. What word or words come to mind when you hear their name? So I love playing an association game. First up, we have Jan Morris. So these are the two books I have by Jan Morris. And this one, sorry, it's backwards, so my brain is struggling, about Oxford. I'm more than halfway through, and it's delightful. So I don't know if you know, but Jan Morris, trans icon of the 20th century, travel writer, historian, commentator, just excellent writer, researcher, and person all around. And just really cool to read their work. So I started on this one as like a travel escape, but this is the only exception. I haven't read the other book, and I got it when I hadn't read the first book. So do you know anything about Jan Morris? Have you read any books by Jan Morris? So yeah, current read and travel. And I have a big travel section, and I realized it wasn't getting used. So when I did the renovations and I had to take all the books out, I took the travel section out of the kitchen island bookcase, and I put it in my bedroom. So I'm hoping I will get to more of these books, because a lot of them have been there for years and I haven't read them. So Jan Morris is the first on the pyre, and I'm loving it. So let's see if we have any chat about it. JD says, by the way, prefer paperbacks to hardcovers, not just because of cost. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I guess I prefer paperbacks as well. The flexible, the floppy, the soft is more of a tactile pleasure than I think the hardcover, even though you can have really cool hardcover features like end papers. So yeah, I get it. Laura is here. Hello. Paperbacks are much nicer to hold. So there's someone that agrees with you. And Cat Paw as well. Paperbacks, please. Oh, another vote for paperbacks. Okay, well, yeah. You might be surprised to know that I can find no one on the internets that does a roundup of paperback releases ahead of time. That's why I'm just hopscotching around to all these different bookstores. People make lists that are not bookstores. Some bookstores have pre-order highlights. So I have to like find different sources all over. And a lot of the new releases that people are talking about obviously are going to be hardcover only. So it's a bit of a search game. Yeah. Yeah. Paperback lovers. Cat Paw says, I find hardbacks too heavy, both to hold and when you move. Oh, yeah. I said Leslie's name, and now she's here. I was just talking about the last bookshop in LA, Leslie. If you've been there, let me know. They're the ones that I ordered my October pre-orders from, and I just unboxed them. So I'm very happy with those books. Mad, hello. I only buy a few books a year. The rest are library books, so there aren't too many sitting around. That is a very tidy way of doing it. And under consumption core, way to go. One of my purchases I'll be getting to is a book called, Stormwreck and Spindrift. You don't say. The orange cover. Nice one. Nice one. Much appreciated. Oh, Erin is here saying Empire. Ooh, okay. So this is an answer to the question. Morris's trilogy on the British Empire is brilliant. Oh, I didn't know she had a trilogy on the British Empire. Okay, excellent. I might have to hop on over to my Storygraph and put that in and just note what the first book is in the trilogy. Let's see. Trilogy number 1. Nope, that's Patrick Leigh Fermor. Come on. Come on, Storygraph. Among the Cities, Around the World, Battleship Yamato, Better Than Fiction, Between the Wood, Trilogy. Nope, Patrick Leigh Fermor. Why do they keep showing up their books? Okay, well, if you can give me a title, that might help me search faster. Leslie says, paperbacks all the way. The Last Bookshop is lovely, but it's downtown, so I don't go often. Oh, so a perfect choice to order from and get shipped. Perfect. Yeah, I don't want to go downtown. Okay, so Erin, I'm waiting on the title, and I'll put your name on it as the recommender so I can come back and thank you when I read it. JD says, when I grow up, I want to be like Mad. Yeah, that is a very intentional and self-disciplined approach. Very admirable. So yes, well done. Well done. Okay, so Jan Morris is the first one, and I've gotten started on that one. So I know Read What You Own doesn't start until November 5th, but this is not really that anyway. This is Read What I Haven't Read Yet that I own. So I'm going to use this as a challenge and say that I've started on it. Okay, I'm going to put this out here so I can keep going. The next author is one that maybe fewer people have heard of. The name is Jack Nisbet, which I think is a Scottish name. And these are the 2 books I have by him that I haven't read. So they're nature memoirs / science books. This one is called The Collector, David Douglas and the Natural History of the Northwest. So it's a science nature book by way of a biography of someone who was a European explorer in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I am located. And the other one is called Ancient Places, People and Landscape in the Emerging Northwest. So I mean, these are kind of like Robin Wall Kimmerer flavored. I don't know yet if he has a lens that is anti-colonial, but we're talking about a colonist in this like virgin landscape. So if you know about Jack Nisbet, let me know if it's worth diving into. I'm going to have to figure out which one to go first. But yeah, I don't think he's as famous as Jan Morris. So maybe not as well known, but they're reliably popping up in my favorite used bookstore. And so that's how 2 have found their way into my collection. But yes, I do love a nature memoir. And I tend to keep those. I tend to read them very closely, take lots of notes, share lots of quotes, and keep them on the shelf. So yeah, they're good ones. Okay, so Erin is helping me out here. The first book is called Pax Britannica, The Climax of Empire. And Laura says, that sounds a bit saucy. All right, let me go find Pax Britannica. Nope. Storygraph is experiencing difficulties. So let me just search by title instead. And then I can put your name on it. Jan Morris, Pax Britannica. There we go. Wait, that says number 2. Progress is number 1. Heaven's Command. Okay, I'll put your name on that one. Erin Hook. Sweet. Thank you. All right. JD says that sounds like a Bayou insult. Dang, Nisbet. I'm not sure what sounds like a Bayou insult, but I like it. Mad says, I grew up quickly when we had a house fire and lost everything with the clothes on our backs. Wow. That'll do it. Bye-bye lifetime of books. Can't say I recommend. Yeah, 0 out of 10. Boo. But now you have a different approach that's inspiring all of us to maybe consume less and value what we have more. So thank you. And sorry about that experience. Yeah, that'll do it indeed. All right. Our next author, number 3, we have Becky Chambers. And I'm sure a lot of people will know this author because she's a booktube darling. Like I said, I'm not having luck with the novella hardcovers. These are both ones that I found used, so lower price, but like I have a resistance and a resentment to people who will only put out their books in hardcover, even though they're like 100 pages. But so many people have talked about this. Oh, and I forgot to say where I got the recommendations. I have my list right here. So Jan Morris from Travel, current read. That's just like background. Jack Nisbet, because he's in the Pacific Northwest and because it's nature. So that has us caught up. And this one you probably know is because of Booktube. Where is on my list? Yes, I just listed Booktube. Like people are screaming, crying, raging about these being so good. And so there's this series, like little robots that are supposed to be cozy sci-fi. There's also a long something to a small angry planet, which is a bit different, but also supposedly good. So yeah. So what words come to mind when you think of Becky Chambers? Have you read? Delightful? Cozy? Annoyed with the presentation? Yeah. Could be any of the above. Could be any of the above. Let's see. Oh, wow. Jan Morris doing what modern authors do, writing a book and then writing the prequel. Morris wrote the second book first, so Heaven's Command is the actual start of the trilogy. That's so annoying. I would never do that to my readers. Laura says, pretty covers, yes. Modern books, they know. It's still the same trend. I think I will show you a cover that I'm currently reading later that is 0 out of 10. No effort. But yeah, those are the current trend, very well received, shall we say. Yeah. Any words when we think of Becky Chambers? Hello. People George Lucasing left and right. People George Lucasing left and right. Does that mean wanting to adapt them? Is that what you think of when you think of Becky Chambers? Confused. Anita says, haven't read Becky Chambers yet, but have been circling a long way to a small angry planet. Yeah. I hope you find a used version or like a remaindered version. That would be great. I think either of the series, there's one that has a bind up that might be like a better deal. But yeah, people love it. So, and for someone who's in cozy fantasy, like it might be a good fit for you as a reader. So that's number 3. What's the next one? It's a little bit of a surprise because some of my books are so old, I keep them wrapped up. And that is a hint to Walter Scott. So what comes to mind when you think of Walter Scott? Oh, you're talking about the prequel. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm kidding. I mean, I wouldn't do that to my readers intentionally. Yeah. Yay. Okay. So this is a current read, like a slow read, which I haven't gotten very far on. This is Rob Roy. So Aaron got that one right, probably because he saw it last time I talked about it, since I haven't talked about it much. This one is like protected, but a current read. So it's not wrapped up. The wrapped up one is, oh, it's not. Okay. I thought it would have the gold edges. I think it used to have gold edges, but not anymore. This is a super old book, y'all. The Waverly novels, and there's the spine. You know, they didn't used to put publication dates in convenient places. It's from 1869, but this one does, 1869. So I thought it would have gold, not sprayed edges, obviously, but I think it used to, and they've just rubbed off. I don't know. But yeah, Waverly novels and like Bible paper. Look at that. That's why I haven't started this yet. It's one of those like, I'm really going to need help when I go through that. And Greg offered this, and I think I may need help with Rob Roy first. And then, you know, maybe 2026 will attack the Waverly novels. Rob Roy is not as bad. It's more modern, but it is pretty delicate. And I haven't gotten through the introduction yet. As I said, the introduction, I'm on page 41. We're still not through the introduction. So, Walter Scott, what are thoughts that come up? What is our association? Rob Roy, Alan says Ivanhoe. Yeah. Anita, Ivanhoe. All right. Laura says that book is delicious. Isn't it pretty? JD agrees. Gorgeous. Don't smoke it. Potheads say Bible paper is great for rolling. Oh, well, I'm sure you knew how necessary a warning that is for me. Heresy, says Julie. Yeah, probably. But yeah, this is obviously when the thrift directive went completely off the rails. They aren't expensive. They're the ones that aren't really worth anything because they're old, but they're sort of beat up. And so that's when I find them and want to take them home and honor them and their long lifespan. So Cat Paw says, Becky Chambers, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Haven't read it, but it sounds like the title of a friend's book. Nice Place, Shame About the Human Race. Oh, and the friend's name is Alan Gilmore, a pen name, and the title sounds similar. It's called Nice Place, Shame About the Human Race. Interesting. Yeah. That's not how I thought you meant it would be similar, but yeah, I get it when I hear it out loud. Aaron says the Prince Regent waddling around Edinburgh in a kilt. That's what you think of when you think of Walter Scott. Yeah. So the Prince Regent, I think you mean fourth, what's his name? Our rebellion was against who the third? Why is this so hard right now? And then the Prince Regent who came after Mad King George the Fourth. Thank you. I got there eventually. So yeah, George IV, Regency. I keep thinking Walter Scott is later, but yeah, he's Regency. So well done. The pageantry of the Scottish Highlands really came more in the Victorian age, 30s, 40s, 50s, but he did start it. So we can blame him or celebrate him, either way. All right, the next one, 5, is Rachel du Maurier. So I've got 2 books. Sir Walter Scott, reputation, old. That's why he's on my list. Daphne du Maurier is because I inherited 2 of her books from a very old vintage. So we've got Hungry Hill and we've got My Cousin Rachel, and I have read neither of them. Nor have I read Rebecca, I should say. So, I mean, in case I haven't figured out what the twist is, please don't spoil it for me. And I don't know. Yeah, 1944, copyright 1943. So second edition, maybe, from my grandparents on my dad's side. Hungry Hill. It's, I think, about the gentry in Ireland back in the day. So big interest for me, but I haven't managed to read it yet. It's also March of the Moderns era. Still didn't read it. What do you think of? And then My Cousin Rachel, again, from my grandparents. Look at that. They had a book plate. Isn't that special? Leo and Wynne Pinard, my dad's parents. So that's pretty neat. And this one is from 1952. So 1951, 52, first edition. I mean, this one might be worth money, but yeah, that's not why I have it. I have it because of the book plate and from my grandparents. But I haven't read her yet. I don't know why. Like, fall is perfect time. But nope. That's also a March of the Moderns book, but I hadn't gotten to it during 3 years of that readathon. How about you guys? 5th author. Laura thinks of Hugh Laurie and Blackadder. Does Hugh Laurie play? Wait. Does he play Walter Scott? Does he? Okay. Okay. I may not have seen those episodes. I just catch them on YouTube. Aaron says, when George IV visited Edinburgh in the early 1820s, Walter Scott stage managed the whole affair. I have read about that. Yes, in my Scotland research in the 1820s. That is the period that I wrote about first in that book. So yeah, I read about regular poor people. So I didn't write about this, but I definitely read about it as a background. Cat Paw says, love Hungry Hill. Oh, excellent. Well, that's a good recommendation. Speaking of Cat Paw, I revisited my library holds. I was talking about this to Elaine and Kat, and I just placed a whole bunch of library holds. But I also put in a request to order Any Human Power because they didn't have it. So, Amanda Scott, hopefully it's going to be an October purchase for my library. Yeah. Oh, the book plate. Isn't it neat? Isn't it neat? I love like an old school book plate, so that it's just special. Maybe a timing thing, reading a book at the right time for you. Yeah. I think it makes a difference. We were just talking about whose live stream was this? Kevin Toll. He was talking about how his ratings, they're all going to be subjective, right? But his also will vary based on the time that he read it because of things going on in his life. And that's totally valid, I think. He was the Prince Regent, I think. Yes, George IV. I was thinking about the one during Victoria, though. And that was a different name. Same physique, I imagine, but different name. JD says, as always, a treat, though I must jet. Much love from the tropics. Yes. Nice to see you, JD. Thanks for dropping in. Mad says, love Du Maurier. I know. This is a highly critically acclaimed author. I just need like a little extra push for some reason. Daphne du Maurier conjures images of Cornwall smugglers and Gothic. Yeah, I think that's the Rebecca vibe for sure. Me too. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Good association. I love an association game for some reason. I'm not sure why. Okay, so our next author, number 6, is going to be a bit more modern. Attica Locke. Who's read Attica Locke or has heard the name? So I've got 2 mysteries. I often will go through mysteries as comfort reads. And so my unread mysteries tends to be pretty thin because I rip through them and then I have no more and I either keep it or give it away. So these have been there probably 1 year, not too long, but like I got one and then I got another without reading the author. So Attica Locke, tell me, what's your impression? I've got The Cutting Season and I've got Blackwater Rising. Is a modern contemporary Black author who writes like mystery thrillers. So what do you think? What should I be thinking? What should I be feeling? What should I be prioritizing? What do you think? Jim's chiming in on Du Maurier. Cornwall smugglers and Gothic is the Jamaica Inn vibe. Oh, okay. So not Rebecca. Thank you for pointing that out. That makes sense. I don't have Jamaica Inn, but I have read a Cornwall book or 2 recently, and I want to visit. Emma Bennett is also writing a book on Cornwall. I think it's being edited and almost ready to come out right now, which is very exciting. So Attica Locke, what style of mystery? Let's see. Jay Porter has long since made peace with not living the American dream. He runs his fledgling law practice out of a dingy Houston strip mall, where his most promising client is a low-rent call girl. And he's determined to leave the sins of his past buried. The guns, the FBI file, the trial that nearly destroyed him. That is, until the night he saves a woman from drowning and inadvertently opens a Pandora's box. Her secrets reach into the upper echelons of Houston's corporate power brokers and ensnare Jay in a murder investigation that could cost him his practice, his family, even his life. So that was Attica Locke's debut thriller. And that struck me as kind of like a Grisham because it's like legal, but also secrets and like the powerful being brought down. So that sounded really good. And now that I read it again, it makes me more anxious. There's the author. So, like, yeah, highly acclaimed. People have different favorites. Bluebird is another one, but I got Cutting Season instead because this is historical being. You could see it's got a plantation home on the cover. So Houston, mystery, legal, power. It sounds really good, but I don't know. I'm getting the name out there. If any of these seem interesting and, you end up running out and buying a book before your Read What You Own challenge starts, drop me a line, give me a ring, let me know if you want to buddy read any of these. I am pondering the challenge and seeing what we could do here. Jim says, my brother lives in Cornwall. You don't say. Where in Cornwall? Let's see if I can place it. I had an author in an interview that I was producing, and they said they were in Girvan. And I went, oh, Girvan is a place that I keep getting mixed up with Govan. And they were not impressed because Govan is in Glasgow. It's like the Govan neighborhood. And Girvan is a town that's on the west coast in Ayrshire. So I was like, should have just kept my mouth shut. But I want to be quizzed because this is a friendly crowd and I'm not trying to impress anyone. So let me know where in Cornwall. Let me see if I can place it in my head. I know where Penzance is. Aaron says, with Daphne du Maurier, I always remember she was married to General Browning, who commanded the 1st Airborne Division in World War II, and she chose maroon as the color for the Paris berets. Oh, that's a cool little fact. So the wife of the general commanding the division got to choose the color of the berets. That's fun. Yeah, maroon is very du Maurier color. That's cool. Leslie just said, I'm a minute. Yay. Wow, didn't know that about the berets. Cool fact. Exactly. Okay. And I think this is pronounced Nuki. An American would pronounce this Nuke, but I think they say key. Tell me if I'm wrong. And I don't know where that is, so I failed the test. But thank you for helping me play another round of the game. It's just fun. Laura says there's a witch museum I really want to go to in Cornwall. Okay, we're still in Cornwall. I love this, but no thoughts on Attica Locke and the Houston mystery. So we'll pass on that one to the next author, who is a Victober author. And I have 3 of his books because I found them all at once and thought, oh, perfect for Victober. And then I read this far in one of the books and was just like, God, this is so slow. Nothing is happening. It's like Trollope, but without the character interest. Like the people were all bloody boring. I got to page 126 and I put it down. This was like 2 years ago, maybe. So this is why I tried, but William Dean Howells, not the thing. Have you even heard of this person? William Dean Howells. We've got Penguin Classics, A Modern Instance, The Rise of Silas Lapham, I'm going to say. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And A Hazard of New Fortunes. And it was very promising because it's at the very end of the Victorian era. It's in the Gilded Age. And this is Fin de siècle, New York. So it's an American, not strictly Victorian novels. But I love a Gilded Age New York tale. I'm a Newsies fan. But I'm maybe it's just the style and I should just give them away and not try anymore. Do you have thoughts about William Dean Howells? Should I just jet the first one and move on to the next one? I don't know. What do you think, William Dean Howells? Since it is Victober season and you may be looking for a fin de siècle New York Gilded Age, let me know if you have thoughts. Newquay is the surfing capital of England. Huh. All right. I did read about surfing in The Draw of the Sea by Will Menmuir in my last wrap up on Wednesday. You will have heard of that. He was a good writer. So his stuff about surfing was great. I thought he was really entertaining to read and not just entertaining, but just well considered. He had personal things, but he also related it to the place. And I'm always drawn to those. So that's nice. Haven't heard of William Dean Howells. Yeah, I don't think many people know about him. Hey, Dee Dee. I was just in Dee Dee's live earlier for her Friday reads. Lovely to see you. Anita also haven't heard of him. Okay. Lesser known, 1890s American author. That's fine. That's fine. We can pass over him. The next one is another cover by. So maybe not from these, but like the thought cropped up when I saw their latest novel, Just Kid. Just Kid is the next author. And I saw the latest novel and I went, ooh, that's so pretty. I want to get it. And then I looked in my Storygraph app and I said, I already have 2 Just Kid novels that I haven't read. This is where the buck stops. I will not get a third one without first confirming that I actually like how they write. So that was my sense of a conscience kicking in, my underconsumption conscience kicking in. So I've got Mr. Flood's Last Resort. That's the more recent purchase. I love the covers. They're so my jam, right? Magic, mystery. I think like they're kind of in the same subgenre as Natasha Pulley writes in. So magical realism / near-term sci-fi. And Things in Jars was the one that I've had a longer, maybe 3 years, 2 years, had it a bit longer. So yeah, that sort of subgenre. Have you read Just Kid? Have you heard anything? What words do you think of? Let me know. Life is short, move on. So like all of their books, so just like toss the one that I didn't like, DNF it, or like all of William Dean Howells? I think I'm feeling all of it. I think I'm feeling the vibe, Ellen. Jim says, I finished Murder on the Prince Regent. Speaking of the Prince Regent, there we go. We have a modern book by Irina Shapiro that just came out, set in 1859 London. This would be the Prince Regent that I'm talking. Oh no, this would be the Prince Regent, a boat, I think. Not the actual Prince Regent. I think that's the name of a ship. Sebastian Bell and Gemma Tate were investigating a murder on a clipper ship called the Prince Regent. Yeah, nice. Pass. Pass energy. Okay, got it. Sorry, Margaret, but I haven't heard of any of your authors other than Sir Walter Scott and Du Maurier. I can't play along. That's okay. That's okay. We've still got, I think, 6 left. You might find some of these. There's more Victober and March of the Moderns authors you might be familiar with. We'll see. Love the title, Things in Jars, right? It's so evocative. So lots of hope for Just Kid, and we will be tossing William Dean Howells. I appreciate you guys helping me make that decision. Laura says she sounds like a cowboy. That's all I got. Just Kid, Mr. Flood's Last Resort, and Things in Jars. The titles sound like the author's a cowboy. I'm not sure. The next one is actually a cowboy. So hold on just one second. Not heard of, but adding Things in Jars to my list. See? I don't think it's the cover. The cover's pretty boring on this one. But yeah, the title's great. So, and the subgenre, like the way that I just related that may have piqued your interest as well. Okay, so the next one, since we're hurrying on to the cowgirl, is Molly Gloss. Have you guys heard of Molly Gloss? So the Jump Off Creek, I think, is her more famous one. Maybe 10, 20 years old. And then I also got Wild Life, which is a novel, but I keep thinking it looks like Letters to Yosemite. It looks like it's not a novel, so I keep getting fooled. Heady cerebral satisfactions, gorgeous prose, and page-turning adventure. So both of these are like frontier novels. I mean, she's writing now, but she's writing about a woman on the frontier. It's a little bit of settler colonialism, but like it's an independent woman narrative as well. So Molly Gloss. So I don't expect the Brits to have heard of her because she's like a modern American writer that's maybe not literary enough to make it over there. I'm not sure. Let's see. Dee Dee says, love Du Maurier. Yes, I know. This is a list, just to catch you up, Dee Dee. This is a list of 13 authors who I have on my shelves, more than one book of, but I haven't read anything. I think I mentioned in your chat a couple weeks ago, I was thinking of this idea. The Read What You Own challenge is sort of coinciding for me with this, like, I should read them before I buy any more and see if I actually like them. Thrift, Horatio. So yeah, Molly Gloss, going once, going twice. I don't think she's famous enough for folks. And that's fine. I come across, she's a Pacific Northwest author, so that may be why. See, and I said, Dee Dee, we matched with our colors and sweaters today because that's what I saw first when I got on your live stream, which is fun. Anita says, not much of a Western reader, so Molly Gloss is new to me. Yeah, and it could be regional as well. Like Canadians probably don't hear of like West Coast regional writers. Totally understandable. All right, so then next we have another Victober author who I know Jim has read because, and I keep forgetting to do this part. So Daphne du Maurier, I inherited Attica Locke mystery recommendations from Booktube. William Dean Howells, Victober. Jess Kidd, I think I picked up because of the comps, because of the Natasha Pulley reference. And also like The Night Library. I think that's another one. It's like a magical realism, historical comparative title. Molly Gloss is an Oregon author. I think she's won the Oregon Book Award. And now we're into Victober and George Gissing, who I heard of because of Victober. Maybe because of Jim. Because this is the first one I got, The Odd Women, which I haven't read because I just sort of fell down on Victober the past couple years. It sounds good. It sounds up my alley. If people know George Gissing, let me know what you think of. And then the other one is New Grub Street by George Gissing. So I got this because I think I'll like him, but I really should read him before I decide that because I don't want another disappointment like William Dean Howells. But also because New Grub Street, which is the name of a street, I imagine, that the novel is named after, but it also gave its name to a writer collective in Boston. So if you're in the Boston area, you may have heard of New Grub Street, not because it's a book from a long time ago, but because it's like a writer center where they have courses and they have groups and stuff. So I know a bunch of Boston writers because of A Mighty Blaze, and that is New Grub Street. So what do you think of when you hear George Gissing? Anything, if anything. And I've got 3 more after this, and then we're done. Let's see. Catpaw says the blurb of Wildlife sounds interesting. Indeed. Dee Dee says, read what you own is always a good thing. Yeah. Might be responding to my little poll question, which I appreciate. Catpaw says, I liked The Odd Women, read it earlier this year. Excellent. So it's recommended by Catpaw and Jim. There was a read-along on The Odd Women with Katie Lumsden on Goodreads. I read it a few months before I started on Booktube. I remember it was one of your first recommendations, so that's why I associate it with you rather than Katie. Books and things. Erin says, when it comes to Western authors, unless they're dead American writers or British writers who wrote Westerns, which is a weird thing, I'm unlikely to have heard of them. Yeah, she's more modern. Jim says The Odd Woman was a proto-feminist book by a guy. Yeah, guys can be feminists. I like it. I like that. That's a good reputation for George Gissing to have. So good. Okay. Those are definitely still on the list. The next ones we have our March of the Moderns author, Rose Macaulay. Anyone heard of Rose Macaulay? So I got this one first and forgot about it. Told by an Idiot. And you know why I picked this one up? I don't know anything about Rose Macaulay. Well, I do like a Virago modern classic. That's true. But what is one of my other fascinations with books? Can anyone spot it? I may have dropped another hint just a few minutes ago. Let's see if anyone picks up on it. But then I found this one, which is a really nice newer copy. And it's such a cute cover. Like little British pinky up with the teacup on a camel. I mean, it might not be aging well, but this is The Towers of Trebizond, also by Rose Macaulay. So March of the Moderns author. Let's see if anyone has an answer. Catpaws, I think it was Jim who recommended it to me. Yep, Jim spreading like wildfire. Told by an Idiot is an excellent title. Okay, Laura is getting close, so I will just tell you. Told by an Idiot is a Hamlet reference. So when I was talking about being thrifty and I put in my description, thrift Horatio, that is another Hamlet reference. And so I love when I see Hamlet references as titles. They are very widespread. They are very prevalent in literature, but I feel like, oh, I get it. I see what you're doing there. And I feel like a lot of people miss it. And so that's just like a little fascination, a little hobby horse of mine, if you will. So that's originally why I picked up Rose Macaulay, and then I realized she's a March of the Moderns author, and I loved that cover, so I picked this one up. But I don't know if I like her writing. 50-50 chance? Now that I've gotten used to a bunch of Moderns writing styles, maybe. What do you guys know about Rose Macaulay? Yeah, that's why. All the little Hamlet in jokes. All right. So 2 more. We've got an Indigenous author coming up, which is Thomas King, which is a recent second purchase. So I've had Green Grass Running Water by Thomas King, which is I think a 90s classic. Strong, sassy women and hard luck, hard-headed men, all searching for the middle ground between Native American tradition and the modern world. Cherokee author Thomas King. So that is the first one that I picked up that I have had for years and haven't read it. It's a mass market paperback, so it's not like the best feeling one. I know it's a very superficial reason whether to pick up a book or not, but this one is much better and feels much more modern. It's a hardcover though, but Indians on Vacation. And I just picked this up while I was in Canada, in Vancouver. So that's fun. And I read the first page to try it out, and it sounds funny. So like I may get to this one first. But what do you guys think? Have you heard of Thomas King? Cherokee author, long running. And Indigathon in November, Native American Heritage Month is coming up. So this might be on your radar if you're participating in that. Let's see. What do you think of? Any word associations? Jem says Trebizond in the title is Trabzon today, which is a Turkish city on the Black Sea, on the Karadeniz, about 3 hours from the Georgian border. Oh, good to know. Okay, so what I know about the Karadeniz, the Black Sea, is that it's famous for its tea growing regions, and its tea is very good from there, the Turkish tea. I knew a student who was one of my good friends when I was there 20 years ago, and she was from not Trabzon, somewhere nearby though. And so she was a delight, but yeah, Trebizond. So that's cool. That's neat. I don't think I knew that. So thank you for sharing that, making that connection. Cat Paw is giving an unrelated tidbit. We welcome those. Apparently all the titles in the October day are references to Shakespeare. I learned last week. It was a surprise, but also made perfect sense. So what is the October day? Can you give me some context? Because you brought that up before and I thought it was an author name, but maybe I have that wrong. So give us a little context, please. Thomas King. Okay. We're just getting a shout out from Leslie again. Did he write a book called The Only Good Indians? That's somebody else, isn't it? So Thomas King wrote The Inconvenient Indian. He's written some like pretty famous books. But I think The Only Good Indians is Brandon Hobson. No, it's Stephen Graham Jones. Duh. That's the one that I couldn't finish. Let me know if I'm not understanding this. Georgia supplied tea to the Soviet Union. Not much tea is grown here today. So the Black Sea region. Interesting tidbits continue. Aaron says, it seems Rose Macaulay was a distant cousin of Thomas Babington Macaulay. So is that like the computer Babingtons? It's so funny. I don't know if anyone has seen this in action, but I am a consumer of like old British movies and TV shows. And one of the things that the upper crust would do is would say like trying to see if you're in the same tax bracket, basically. And metaphor doesn't really work anymore, but that's fine. You know what I mean? Is saying, oh, Smith is not a good name to take. What about What about Codrington? I'm reading about Oxford and there's a Codrington library. So you could say, oh, are you of the Oxford Codringtons? Trying to suss out who your family is and what your connections are. So I'm asking, is that related to the computing Babingtons? Yeah, we're trying to sort out the connection that Leslie was making. No, my ass is tired. That's fine. That's totally fine. But Thomas King is another celebrated, I think, older generation Native American writer. And so I haven't read Alexis, what's his name? Because he's got a bunch of Me Too scandals attached. So I don't want to support his work. But Thomas King, I haven't heard is attached to a scandal. So like, I'm going to give him a try. And I don't know much about Green Grass Running Water, but I like the title. So I thought I'd give it a try. Okay, so October Day is a series written by Shannon McGuire. Oh, or Shauna McGuire. Very cool. So this is another of the authors who does the novella hardcover stupid things. Sorry. But highly acclaimed and well-liked. The Orphans. Anita will probably know better than I will at this moment. Shauna McGuire. They also have a really good presence on Blue Sky or Twitter, one of those. I remember seeing a lot of updates from them. October Day. Okay. And what you said was all of the October Day books are references to Shakespeare. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. And Leslie says, yes. Okay. So she was thinking of The Inconvenient Indian. Close enough. Only Good Indians. Very close in title, so I get it. Cat Paw says, lol, ebooks are me. Ebooks are me. Oh, I was getting Babington and Babbage mixed up, Erin. That's what I did. Again, I don't have Leslie's excuse. I am bright and early and had plenty of sleep, so never mind. Erin says Thomas Babington Macaulay was a historian and politician who was a big proponent of the Whig interpretation of history. Okay, I don't have the time frame. I don't know this name like at all, I don't think. I've definitely heard of Macaulay as a historian, a writer. This may be the Thomas Macaulay that you're speaking of, because when I read, hold on, we're gonna get the Persephone book because Persephone has come up in one of the Heather Gregg's videos. Carlisle. Okay, so I know Carlisle is a big historian, and I read Thea Holmes' book, The Carlisles, at home because it was really pretty when I went into Persephone. Look at this. Look at the end papers. Isn't that gorgeous? So you can do it with a paperback. Let me show you guys. Paperbacks are the boss. This is why. You can do end papers with paperbacks. So I take it back. They're definitely my favorite. Yeah, so Rose Macaulay, Thomas King. We'll keep going here. And then I have a few announcements at the end. We have our last author, which is going to be Pam Munoz Ryan. And the name may not be familiar to you, but have you seen Esperanza Rising? I think it's a middle grade or YA book, and I've had this on my shelf for a long time and haven't read it. And I've almost unhauled it several times, but I want to read it. Look, it's got the Scholastic, like, super big type as well. So it would not take that long. I should just read it. But I picked this up recently because I was like, oh, it's the same author. Becoming Naomi Leon. And that looked really good. An arc. So, like, yeah. What is it with me and getting things? Like, why are these calling out to me? And then I don't read them and they sit on my shelf. I need to figure out that psychological tick and like address it. Pam Munoz Ryan, Latine. So when I'm looking at all the authors, all the readathons that I participate in, sometimes I'll go, oh, I see a deal on a book and I could use that in the readathon that I want to participate in September, October. So the Latinx readathon just finished, unfortunately, but that's why I originally picked up Esperanza Rising, but I just haven't like focused long enough to read it. So any comments on Esperanza Rising? Julie says, Thomas King reminds me of Tommy Orange. another Indigenous author. Yeah, that's a good connection. Must read There, There, and Wandering Stars. Leslie is a big fan of Tommy Orange. I have There, There. I have not read it, but I only have one book by him. I did not get Wandering Stars. I stopped myself before I got another book since I haven't read the author yet. But in these 12 instances now, I have not done that. Yeah, I don't think there's a relation, Jim. Just like Lori R. King, the mystery author that I highlighted, who's really good. And Oasis of Books just highlighted Lori R. King too, right after my video, which is fun. It's the same Macaulay. Okay, good. All right. I just didn't know his first names. Okay, so Macaulay the historian, who I class sort of very vaguely with Carlyle. Like, yeah, okay. I've read about them and their lives and times, but not like any of their own works. Sorry. Laura says, Persephone. I know. We love a good Persephone book. Okay, so that was my fun game. That was just my idea for today of like talking about getting me to read these, and maybe reading some of each of these for the Read What You Own challenge. So we're thinking that over. I might do like a precious gem tier since I'm not going to be doing the numbers or pages. But yeah, like Alan has, like there's some piles that just aren't resolved. I've got bags of stuff that I haven't found a place for either. And because I have all this glorious space, I want to be able to fit everything in there. So that may be a priority. Like try it, and then I know if I like the author or not, and can stop just like holding them in perpetuity without knowing. My daughter has read Esperanza Rising, but it's been a while, so I can't remember if she liked it. Okay. Well, if you remember to ask, let me know later. That'd be fun. But yeah, so some of these more famous writers, some of them less so, some regional, some for readathons. But like, yeah, I'm finally getting around to reading Jan Morris's Oxford, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm trying to savor it and like read it a little bit. I'm just past halfway. So that will be finished soon. I'll be reporting out. I will just share some current reads while I put up my closeout here, which is if anyone has upcoming events or videos they want to highlight, pop it in the comments. I have a very liberal wrench policy to make people moderators so that they can post links. So if you need a wrench, let me know. I'm going to go through the current reads here while I wait for people to bring those up. I have to read this because it's due back at the library. And it's a library book. Isn't that fun? It's called Dinner at the Night Library by Hika Harada, translated by Philip Gabriel. And it's just a book about a library. So it's lovely. I'm past halfway on it. So I think it's due back tomorrow, I think. And it's nice. It's like one of these slice of life, cozy, not really sure where it's going, but it's fine because you're just enjoying. I find that to be most of the Japanese translations that we get about cats or books or a kitchen, for example, Kamagawa Food Detectives. So we'll see. But I like the cover. It's got a cool like graphic illustration cover. There's a cat on the top. There's no cat in the book so far. So that might be just the cover illustrator. But it's a library that's only open at night. And it's got some interesting things. So I'm reading that and enjoying it. I'm reading Walking with the Wind by Mr. John Lewis as a buddy read with Tiffany. So hopefully I'll be scheduling a live discussion of that soon. I am only like a quarter of the way through it, but he's a really good storyteller. I am enjoying reading it. He's a good explainer of the 60s movement at the point that I'm reading now. So that's good. I did just start this one, Monica Dickens, My Turn to Make the Tea. I got this when I was in Britain last. She's a great granddaughter of Charles Dickens. Pretty funny, pretty not slapdash, mad, what's the word I'm looking for? Like Monty Python humor, just off the cuff kind of thing. So not really my thing, but I'll try it for a book. I'm still reading my activism book, Practicing New Worlds, in the Emergent Strategy series for my fall curriculum. So I'll be updating you guys on that pretty soon. I'm almost done with my dip into Joe Abercrombie, Half a War, which I got last month as like a free book in a free book pile. It's like third in a series. I don't care. I don't care. I'm a chaos gremlin sometimes, you know? You got to do it when you're desperate. Let's just say that. I also picked this one up only this week, which is a beautiful little book from the travel bookstore called French Cooking for One. I told Dee Dee about this because it's the most recent start. It's by Michelle Roberts, who's a British-French writer, and it's about her growing up learning to cook in Normandy with her family, which is lovely. And then I also got this at the travel bookstore. So this is why the read what you own restrictions might not work on me. It's called The Evenings, and it's a classic translated book from Gerard Rêve, who is a Dutch writer, gay man writing just after World War II. So I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but I had never heard of him. But I was looking at this tiny travel bookstore. They highlight guidebooks, but also fiction and essays from all the countries that they feature, which I think is a lovely idea. I've only been there a couple times, but felt moved to pick that one up and just like started reading it, which I really shouldn't do, but you know, it gets away from me sometimes. I just need a distraction. So those are all my current reads. What about you guys? Upcoming events. My upcoming event is Monday. I already noted I'll be speaking with Devin about Revolt of the Elites. This book, sociology book, The Betrayal of Democracy by Christopher Lasch. Timely, relevant. Tune in to find out Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So that's my little plug today. Madcap. Slapdash Madcap. Thank you, Madcap, for the Dickens book. Yeah, she's like a cub reporter and she's messed something up and she has to go talk to the owner. And like the first chapter is pretty madcap. Thank you, Julie. Let's see. Nice timing. Elaine just dropping in. My French onion soup almost done because I think I was talking about French cooking for one. Jim says, I'm reading Nicholas Nickleby. Still, it is still October by Charles Dickens. Verity by Colleen Hoover. You gonna finish that one? And The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. Hugo Award winner, best novel of 2025. Oh, that's the one, the poison, is that the same book? It's the same cover design. Maybe not. Maybe I'm mixing it up. Hello. And Monique's here. Hey, Mojo. We're just finishing up. I was highlighting authors who I need to read because I have more than one book on my shelf, but I don't know if I like their writing, so I got to stop buying their shit. Cat Paw says, snatching that The Evenings. It's starting out really interesting. It's very like modern feeling. Yeah, enjoy reading books set outside the Anglosphere sometimes. Totally. Yeah, translated books are good, refreshing, I think. Anita says, I'm just trying to get my book finished for publishing. That's right. Wednesday, you finished your final edit. So yeah, very exciting. Mad World reading Dracula by Bram Stoker. Excellent. That's a very October read mood, I would say. Leslie says that Revolt book sounds interesting. Yes, maybe it's 2 a.m. on Monday. I don't think that's going to be a good time for you. But, you know, replay crowd, we love comments about the book. I have several paragraphs because Christopher Lasch is a very interesting figure. He's someone who is criticizing politics in America in late 20th century, but he's criticizing both the right and the left for different reasons. And so a lot of people didn't like him. A lot of what he said rings true, but then a lot of what he said is also not supported by any evidence. So I'm just kind of like, what? So we're going to hopefully have a lot to say. I've gotten my notes together and Devin is great. So she is a co-host of the AuthorTube Writing Conference and fellow indie author. So should be fun on Monday. Jim is talking about the Robert Jackson Bennett. It's a murder mystery fantasy. A lot of people have talked about a book that has poison in the corrupted by poison. It's got a very similar um, cover to the one that I think you showed. Maybe I'm just mixing it up. I deny all culpability. Alan says 20 Years After by Alexander Dumas is his current read, I assume. Anita says, I've bought a few more books for the TBR, though, including David Green's latest. I don't think I know David Green. And Mad says, also read Africa, Reclaiming Revolutionary Black Politics by Kevin Ochieng Okoth. Sounds very cool. Read Africa. What year is that? Is that a newer book, or is that like a classic history book? I'd be interested. So many books to read, so hard to prioritize, guys. I know. All right. Well, at least it's Friday, and I'm glad you guys were here to join me on this lovely update from the shelves, because I just had a topic that I wanted to address. You won't see me for a wrap up for another few weeks, but this will definitely be on it. We've got a very Oxford mood right now because it's damp and rainy and gray. It's very Oxfordian. But hopefully you have some time to enjoy wherever you are this weekend. And I think that's it. I think we're good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Let me know if there's authors that I should prioritize on this list. And happy reading, everyone. Enjoy your weekend and take care of yourselves for show. Jim's telling us about the book. It's a new, Red Africa is a new book. Okay, got it. And David Green writes epic and urban fantasy and a cozy fantasy. Nice. Nice. Well, that sounds like a good reading plan. So hi, HIE. I don't know how to finish that phrase. So I'll just leave it on that awkward note. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.